Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 2021 NRSL Jerky Pro Truck Series preview show. We do this every year before the season begins, and this time I'm actually joined by a co-commentator. It's my man, Vince Freeze.
Welcome back to the booth. Feels like we never left the booth, but here we are back for the 2021 preview show. A whole crop of rookies to get to, some veterans to come back into the series and try to dominate, new ratings, new schedule, and no playoff format. More and all that to come on the preview show. Back to you, Zach.
Yes, indeed, a whole lot of changes coming to the Jerky Pro Truck Series in 2021. If you're on the NRSL Discord, you've been following the news over the past 6 months or so. We crowned a champion who is not returning to the Jerky Pro Truck Series as he moves his focus to the Digital Storm Cup Series. And we've got a few returning drivers, including this man right here, Patrick Smith. Drove the number 54 Toyota back in the 2019 season, winning one race at Cape Cod. Patrick did not return for 2020, but he is back with JTG Daughtery Racing for the 2021 Jerky Pro season. Patrick finished the 2019 campaign 20th in the point standings with 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s, and a pole on top of that win. He is not the only driver returning to the field. We have Jonathan Wong, who has 2 years of experience. Wong drove in 2018 and 2019. He got a win in 2018, finishing 8th in the points. No wins in 2019, finishing 25th in the points. And then the other 2-year veteran returning with him that drove in the same seasons of the Jerky Pro Truck Series is this man, Gatlin Downey. Downey has no wins to his name in the Jerky Pro Truck Series with just 1 top 5 and 6 top 10s overall. He finished 32nd in points in 2018 and 28th in points in 2019. Vince, how do you think these 3 drivers who have a little bit of an edge on the rookie class are going to fare in the 2021 season?
The driver takes a sabbatical, right? These guys all start 2018, 2019. Smith's case, 2019 only. The 2-year guys, different package, different tracks, the playoff system. I don't know if they're going to have a major advantage towards the end of the season, but in the beginning, yeah. Of course, any experience at the beginning places, non-play tracks, of course. They understand the physics, the draft. They understand what the truck package is like. They'll be fine. I don't think there'll be any major issues. It's when we get to like race 7, 8, when the rookies start to get into their feet. We'll keep it going. If I had to make a quick prediction here out of those 3, I'm going to say Jonathan Wong. I saw him. Well, I didn't see him last year, but I've heard of him. Same with Downey. I think one of those 2 guys will be out of those 3 the best. But I'm going to go with Wong just because of that edge. And we know Leland Fief, the 74 truck was something last season, especially good old play tracks. And always had a surprise, too. So I'm going to go with Wong out of those 3 to be the top dog on those 3.
Yes, indeed. The 74 truck for Mike Harmon Racing was strong at the end of the 2020 season with Leland Fief behind the wheel. So now we'll turn our focus to the part-time drivers, starting with the Evans Gardner Motorsports number 77 entry. This was the number 3 last season, and all 3 drivers returning. We mentioned in the Crown Royal 300, Vince, that Allison Rayne, formerly known as Johnny Gardner, and Amanda Evans, formerly known as Rob Evans, came out as trans after the end of the 2020 season. We've stated our support for them, and we wish them the best as they enter their transitions and they continue the race in both the Jerky Pro Truck Series, which is on a part-time basis, and then full-time in the Digital Storm Cup Series.
Said it better myself, my man. There's also 2 other drivers to the mix. I'll let you get to that. This is an interesting lineup they got. A lot of experience, all different types of categories, and all different types of courses. But I'll let you get to that as we preview the 77 part-time truck.
And I want to start with Allison Rayne, a co-team owner with Amanda Evans. She drove full-time in the Jerky Pro Truck Series back in 2017 to 2018 when drivers were allowed to run full-time in both, no matter if they were rookies or veterans. Now we have the rule where unless you're a rookie in the series, you can't run both full-time if you're a veteran in both series. You can be a veteran in Cup and a rookie in Trucks and Run. You can be a rookie in Cup and a veteran in Trucks and Run, but you can't be a veteran in both and run both. You can be a rookie in both and run both. But so Allison is part of that small group of drivers who ran in the Truck Series for 2 full seasons before switching to a part-time basis. And the shocking part is that Allison is a 2-time Digital Storm Cup Series champion with 8 career Cup wins, 0 Jerky Pro Truck Series wins. I mean, that could change this year. I mean, we've got so many new rookies coming into the series. We had so many rookies leave the series. There's not a lot of drivers really turning on the experience from season to season. So Allison's scheduled to run 5 races of the 21 race schedule. She drove in 7 races last year. And out of the 4 drivers in the 3 truck, she was the worst of the bunch with only 1 top 10. So we'll see how she improves in her 5 races this season, down from 7. So we jump to the next driver in that stable is Quinton Moore. Quinton ran full-time in the Truck Series in 2017, finished 37th in the points. Only ran 6 races last year, so the way they worked this is they had 4 drivers for 27 races, so 3 of them got to run 7 races, and Quinton was the odd man out, running only 6. This year, Quinton will get that extra race that he didn't get last season, so Quinton will be running 6 races in this truck in 2021. He was 3rd out of the 4 drivers with 2 top 5s and 3 top 10s. Then we jump over to Amanda Evans, who has 2 Digital Storm Cup Series Super Speedway wins. By the way, Quinton with no wins in Jerky Pro yet. Amanda also without a win to her name in the Truck Series, but she got 3 top 5s, 3 top 10s, and a pole in her 7 races in the Jerky Pro Truck Series. So we'll see if she can get into victory lane. We know their teammate, Zachary Fitzwater Sr. has. He got into victory lane last season at Sandy Flats. Also had 2 top 5s, 4 top 10s. And Fitzwater ran 2 full-time seasons in Jerky Pro back when it was allowed in 2017 to 2018. In 2018, he got 1 win and finished 12th in the points. So Fitzwater knows his way around a track in the truck. Vince, what do you think of these, the Evans Gardner Motorsports stable on a part-time basis this season?
Dynamic is pretty tight. Now Rayne, Evans, Fitzwater, Moore, they're all pretty good, tight-knit group of drivers and friends off the track. You look at Fitzwater, his road course presence is second to none. And we know Quinton Moore, he's no slouch either. He can get it done anywhere. Rayne, always great in the Cup Series. Surprisingly, no Truck Series wins, as you said. But that could change. And same with Evans, always great to play tracks. Always a contender at speedways as well. I expect big things. It's a part-time championship in itself, right? You're battling 2 part-time teams, and you're looking for that owner's title. I think out of these 4, though, with that dynamic, I expect this 77 part-time car or truck, to take it. I think out of those 3 that we're going to mention, I think this is the best lineup. It's a solid group. They have the experience. I'm going with the 77 part-time truck of Allison Rayne, Quinton Moore, Evans, and Fitzwater to win the part-time championship, per se, out of the 3. But we'll move on to the next part-time truck a little bit later and preview them as well.
Looking at our next part-time entry, it's the 33 truck of Ream Brothers Racing. This truck was driven full-time the past 2 seasons by 2019 Jerky Pro Truck Series champion Logan York. While going into 2021, York will be switching his focus to just Digital Storm Cup. He will be running part-time still. Him and Charles Sanford are set to split the schedule. 11 races for Logan York, 10 races for Charles Sanford. And we're going to start the conversation with Charles Sanford, as he has not run a ton of races on a part-time basis compared to some of the other drivers. Sanford drove full-time in both 2017 and 2018. 2017, he got 2 wins and finished 14th in the points. while in 2018 he got 1 win and finished runner-up to 2018 champion James Qualls. Last 2 seasons, Sanford has run primarily part-time as he's shared time with both siblings Henry Sanford and Gene Sanford. In 2019, the deal was if Henry made the playoffs, Charles wouldn't run his super speedway races, which is what ended up happening. So Charles only ran 2 races in 2019 with an average finish of 30th between the two and no top 10s. Last year, Charles ran 9 races and finished in the top 5 3 times. So we'll see how Charles does with another race for the 2021 season, as this will be his first season not running in the 8 truck, which is kind of surprising, but that's the deal here, allowing Gene to run full-time in the 8. So we'll shift our attention to the 2019 champion of Logan York. So Logan is going to be jumping up to run Digital Storm Cup full-time. When we look at his stats, 2019, he won 2 races as a rookie with 5 top 5, 7 top 10s, and was the champion driver, winning second at Texas Motor Speedway. Last season, Logan York failed to make the playoffs, didn't win a race, still had 3 top 5s, 8 top 10s, and finished 19th in the points. His Digital Storm Cup Series season, or rookie campaign, I should say, which we'll talk about in the Digital Storm Cup preview show tomorrow, was not what he wanted. But from a part-time standpoint, Vince, going into 2021, do you think Logan can expect to maybe get back to victory lane?
It'd be one of those topics of conversation when we talk about resurgence. But right now, we're focusing on can he get back to victory lane. I'm going to say it's a possibility. And the reason why I have these guys second of the 3 part-time trucks is because Logan York has the experience in that same truck, chassis, the engine components. He knows the whole thing inside out. He just needs Sanford to get on board and develop that chemistry. York, I say, can get in the victory lane. Sanford, no slouch either. 21 races, it's possible. I think both these guys can score a win. But again, they're stacked against some really good veterans, and of course some experience factors that has to be taken into consideration. But I think both the 77 and 33, it'll be a tight battle between those 2 part-time trucks. But I think both will get in the victory lane once.
All right, and let's turn to our final part-time truck entry. Last year we had 5. This year we only have 3. Actually, no, last season I think we had 4. I think I'm getting my numbers mixed up there. But anyway, the last one to talk about heading into 2021 is the Nate Rogers, Nico Tringali combo. They've jumped from what was a part-time deal with DGR Crosley in the 54 truck, and they've moved over to Junior Motorsports, which is the satellite team for Hendrick Motorsports, as both Nico and Nate jumped over from Red Bull to Hendrick in the Cup Series. So we'll just talk about them really quickly. Tringali has actually never run a full-time Truck Series season, but he'll continue to just drive on a part-time basis. He made 5 starts in 2019 with GMS, and then 13 this past season with DGR. And it was the first year of the partnership between Nico and Nate in the Truck Series. In 2019, Nate was partnered up with Ace Rogers. Tringali, though, in the Truck Series through 18 starts, has only 3 top 10s. He got 1 top 10 in 2019 and 2 this past season. Meanwhile, Nate, who we've pictured here, Nico will actually be running a different paint scheme compared to Nate, which this is the scheme Lucas Catano ran last season. Nate will run a new Napa Truck Series scheme in his races. Nate has scored 1 career Jerky Pro truck win before. That was in 2019 when he ran 8 races. In 2018, Nate ran a full-time season, finishing 29th in the point standings. Last year for Nate, 2 top 5s, 4 top 10s, 2 poles in 14 races. And aside from Gene Sanford, who ran 4 more races than Nate did, Nate was the best out of the Digital Storm Cup Series drivers down in the Jerky Pro Truck Series. Vince, this 1-2 punch, Nico and Nate have been together every season in the Digital Storm Cup Series, first with Extreme Motorsports in 2017, and then with Red Bull the last 3 years as they make this jump back to Chevy. What can we see them do, at least in the Jerky Pro Truck Series?
Interesting one. This is why I have these guys there. We know Hendrick's philosophy. We looked at last year. This is a non-storyline per se that we're talking about. We remember Lucas Catano. Like he was in that truck, and there were some things rumored mid-season. Now this is a part-time truck. The chemistry's there. The thing for these guys, can they? I mean, they have the chemistry, driver to driver. Can they develop this Hendrick chassis enough to get them into victory lane? It's going to be tough. The schedule in the beginning is really going to be a little lumps and bruises, I think, personally. But when we get to like race 11, about the halfway point, they'll start picking it up. But I think because of the fact that the first the first two trucks we mentioned have a little bit more chemistry, a mix of drivers, more feedback. Despite these guys' great friendship, I really think that these guys are going to just fall short. It's going to be a tight battle, but I think they'll be third out of the three part-time trucks. However, just like I said with the first two, don't be surprised if they get one or two wins. It's not shocking considering the experience levels that we'll talk about soon.
Yeah, and then don't forget, Lucas Catano won at Memphis in that last 7-race stretch, and he was pretty good there at the end. But Junior Motorsports electing to go part ways with Lucas. Junior Motorsports has expanded to a 3-truck stable. They've got a rookie in the new 24 entry, which they got permission from GMS Racing to take that number. GMS shrunk from 5 trucks to 4. We'll get to that more in a little bit, but don't forget, we've still got to talk about James Ellison, who won 2 races for Junior last season. So now we're going to turn our attention to the final driver, who was a part-time driver last year, driving for GMS Racing. He split time with Ace Rogers, his younger brother, and that is Zach Rogers, who has arguably the most experience out of all the Jerky Pro Truck Series drivers. He's driven in every season. The last 2, he's been part-time. And another driver that to me is a shock we haven't seen win in the Jerky Pro Truck Series, just like Allison Rayne. So Zach ran full-time in 2017, finishing 17th in the point standings with a top 5 and 7 top 10s. 2018, he stepped it up, getting 4 top 5s and 7 top 10s, and finishing 4th in the points. 2019, he ran 7 races with 1 top 5, and last year he ran 13 races with 1 top 5 and 4 top 10s. He's got 1 career Jerky Pro Truck Series pole, which he got in 2017, and last year was the first year Bulldog Motorsports wasn't in the Truck Series, but they are back with a 4-truck effort. They were a 2-truck effort in 2018 and a 1-truck effort, I believe, in 2019, if my memory serves me correctly. But Bulldog is back. Zach, the team owner, is going to run full-time, and with his 3 years of Digital Storm Cup Series experience and 1 career win at Papyrus, arguably the favorite dipping down from the Cup Series. Vince, what do you think?
Yeah, he'll be barking up a storm this year for these rookies and everyone else to catch. Definitely one of the top 5 guys that you have to look at as championship contender, and not only a championship contender, but a guy that will be consistent everywhere. We talk about a championship where without the playoff system, you're looking for consistency. Definitely look out for Rogers in that 18 T39 at Dodge. And like I said, like you were saying too, with all that experience, no wins. That's going to change. I just don't see how this guy does not get to victory lane at least once, if not more than 3 times. He's definitely one of the favorites everywhere we go. Look out for Zach Rogers at a racetrack near you.
And I actually misspoke there. The last part-time driver to talk about is Gene Sanford, who will return to Nemco Motorsports, driving full-time. Same kind of style of development as her brother Henry Sanford, ran a part-time season splitting time with Charles. And now Jean gets to run the A-Truck all by herself. She, unlike Henry Sanford, didn't win a race in her part-time campaign, but she did get 1 top 5 and 4 top 10s, and she had an average finishing position of 23rd, running a total of 18 races. Look out for Jean to perhaps maybe show some success like Henry Sanford did in 2020. But that is it for our part-time drivers. We're going to take a little break. You won't miss anything as me and Vince just take a little breather. Me and Vince are back, ready to look at our full-time returning drivers, and we're going to start with a man who drove part-time in 2019, and that's Benjamin Ice, who's making the jump from the number 78 Joe Gibbs Racing entry to the number 17 Roush Fenway Racing entry, as Roush will enter the Jerky Pro Truck Series with this entry. Ice with 3 top 5s and 3 top 10s in 5 races in 2019. Did not have the full-time season we thought he would. In 2020, he had 2 top 5s and 4 top 10s running full-time and finished the year 29th in points. That's the lowest of all returning drivers, as there were a handful of rookie drivers who finished below him in the point standings. We'll look for Ice to perform better in 2021, along with his part-time counterpart from 2019, Lucas Catano, who will switch over to what is now, it says DGR there, but it is now a Kyle Busch Motorsports truck. For those that aren't aware, last season, KBM was the 4 and the 51, and DGR was the 17 and the 54. Roush got their hands on the 17, and Stewart-Haas Racing, which has also dipped down to the Jerky Pro Truck Series with a pair of rookies, took the 4. So now KBM left with the 51 and the 54, as KBM, DGR are going to come together, form this Toyota partnership. But so Lucas Catano, we mentioned briefly earlier, got the 1 win at Memphis with 4 top 5s, 6 top 10s. Much better than what he did in his 5 races, I guess you could say. The average finish wasn't up to par with what he did in 5 races, but in 2019, Catano had a top 5, 2 top 10s, and had an average finishing position of 15th with an average starting position of 10th in those 5 races in 2019 at GMS. And then, of course, last year, as just mentioned, 1 win, 4 top 5, 6 top 10s, 24th average finishing in starting position, and 28th in the points. Between these two drivers, Vince, who do you think has a better second full-time season?
I'm going Catano. His second half performance at the end of 2020 was something. He knew he had to turn the wick up with the pressure from Junior and that whole Hendrick brigade. I like where he's going. Now, one thing about Ice will mention, you might famously know him for his wild, incredible crash at Mustech. It's not on the schedule, by the way. So that was something. I think he wants to shake that name and mantra off his record, but I still think Catano, just because of the consistency, moving to KBM with a united alliance with DGR and KBM in general, and Toyota seem to want to work together in previous years to this year. I got Catano. Will a win come? I don't know. With the experience level and the competition the way it is, remains to be seen. But out of those two, give me Catano.
Let's jump to our next driver up the points with a new paint scheme, and that is Jack James for Thor Sport Racing, returning to the number 13 Ford in what will be his 3rd full-time season. Jack James is a known friend of Digital Storm Cup Series driver Jonathan Zorlin, who has shown a ton of success. In Jack James' 2 seasons, he's got a combined 4 top 5s, 10 top 10s, and 3 pole positions. He finished 24th in points in 2019, 27th last year, but you could say 2020 was the better season, considering the race count was also different. 2019, when he had 15 races on the schedule, 2020 we had 27, and of course we're docking it back down to 21 races for the 2021 season. But 1 top 5, 4 top 10s, 1 pole in 2019, 3 top 5s, 6 top 10s, and 2 poles in 2020. And honestly, Jack James had a very good shot at, I believe it was North Wilkesboro, at getting to victory lane. I think, Vince, this man's going to get it done at least one time in 2021, and I think it could come at a short track.
Yeah, the short tracks are something a little bit different when it comes to the engine and chassis. You really don't really need the engine, but you need a good chassis. Let's look at the schedule here. Pull it up real quick. We got Rockingham, which is kind of like a short track, high speed. You got Dodge Motordrome, Richmond, Martinsville, Bristol paved. Some dirt tracks in there. I know a little different, but Memphis is also there, and even like a place like Springfield. You never know. Like a dirt track. I really like Jack James here to get a win, like you were saying. He's shown some flashes of brilliance. A second year to develop that 13 Ford as well with the new package. 21 races. We'll say he'll get a win. However, don't be surprised if he doesn't get a win, right? With the increased competition experience and meaning everything. We'll see.
That leads us to our next driver, who is a 2019 rookie, just like Jack James was, and that's Colt Hudson, driving the number 93 Supercuts Ram for, it's blank, but it's for Bulldog Motorsports. And Hudson will also be running his rookie campaign in the Digital Storm Cup Series, which a lot of people in the paddock, the journalists, etc., think it might be a bit of a rush for Hudson to move up to the Cup Series after just 2 seasons of trucks. But to be honest, Peter Onjak did it in just after 1 Truck Series season. So we'll see how Hudson does, just looking at his Jerky Pro Truck Series resume. In 2019, he had just 4 top 10 finishes, finished 16th in the points. Last year, finished 25th in the points, but he got a couple of top 5 finishes, 3 total, 6 top 10s, and a pole. So we'll see how Colt does in his 3rd season. We're going to jump straight over to another driver, one of 3 Thor Sport drivers, just like Jack James, and that is second-year driver Max Anderson. Made his rookie campaign last year in the number 75 truck. Came close to a win on a few occasions at the end of the season, or on one occasion, I should say. 1 top 5, 6 top 10s, 22nd in the points in his rookie campaign. That brings us to another Ford driver, was a Ford driver last year, I should say, Toyota driver now. That's Bradley Ream, driving the number 11 FedEx Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. He drove the number 22 Ford for Team Penske last season. Bradley got, I think, what was a rookie record of 3 pole positions, 2 top 5s, 7 top 10s. One of those poles came at the second race of the year, which was Sandy Flats, which we're heading back to. And Ream finished the year 21st in the point standings with a 22nd place average finishing position and a 19th place average starting position. Out of those 3 drivers I just named, Vince, Colt Hudson, Max Anderson, Bradley Ream, who could we expect to see jump to the top 20 in points?
Well, it's funny because Anderson is actually my sophomore slump. We'll get more on him in a minute. I think it's Ream. You go into Toyota, that truck, Cole Baker last year, it's proven. It's something that I think Ream's looking for. And it's funny because he was steaming last year just like a Ream water heating tanker. But in this FedEx Toyota, I think out of those 3, he'll get the chemistry with his teammates. He's got a nice team leader, as I like to say. We'll get to him in a minute in Carrillo. And I got to go Bradley Ream here. Anderson, I think that transition to Chevy to Ford is interesting. I don't know if it's going to work out. It's a little bit different body style. I have him as my slump. Hudson, listen, man, you got to get your feet wet somehow, right? Starting early in the Cup Series, starting early in the Truck Series, doing both at the same time as a rookie. It's possible to gain a lot of experience. We've seen Onjak, maybe he doesn't have the success, but it can happen. I just think that Chevy to Dodge that jump, it may not be good in the beginning, but like I said with all these guys, wait till we get to the second half. But I'm going to give Ream a best shot to get top 20, if not top 15 in points, and maybe a surprise top 10. We'll see.
Now we're looking at Audra Baranowskas. She's a good friend of William Brock. And Baranowskas is, to my knowledge, and I'm pretty sure she is the only one, to win a Jerky Pro Truck Series race in all of her seasons of competition. She got 1 win in both 2018 and 2019, and she got 2 wins last season. 2018, she was 9th in the standings. 2019, 10th. Last year, however, she would finish the year 20th after she was 1 point shy of being 25th in the standings to make the playoffs. Vince, that was a huge thing at Armory Digital where she won the race, but she was still short that 1 point. And, I mean, honestly, if we look at her season, we can just recall all the problems regarding pit road, starting with Charlotte and then transferring over to Pick Stadium, where she was top 5, doing really good in the race, and then pit road took her out. And, I mean, honestly, you can blame either one of those races for that 1 point because that was honestly the difference for her making the playoffs or not.
Yeah, pit road. It's the old term, right? Pit road gives you that free real estate. And unfortunately, her real estate ran out dry and went into the depth category. But listen, Audra, another thing, too, going against her this season is there's not as many point races. There's only 2 now that we properly look back at the schedule while we were on break, Daytona and Dega. And also another thing, too, is you got a bunch of rookies on this team. You're basically like the leader, almost like the dad or the mom of this team in a way to bring the rookies up. I don't know what Hunter's going to do this season. I know she'll be competitive, but this might be a case of, hi guys, I'm Audra Baranowskas. It's either you hang with me or you don't. Because with the rookies, it's going to be more of a learning curve, while she will, I think it's going up. I think she might be a top 5. I think we're going to talk about that in the prediction, but I have her as a top 5 driver. And I really think she'll be consistent everywhere. Just like Rogers coming down, she's been a staple. I expect her to do really well.
And Audra will have the most experience next to 3 other drivers as far as drivers who have been running down here in consecutive seasons. And just to highlight how like inconsistent her season was, 2 wins, 4 top 5s, 9 top 10s, and 2 poles. Her average finishing position was 22nd, but her average starting position was 17th. And, you know, that big split of 5 positions between qualifying and finishing just comes down to pit road issues or being involved in accidents that were not her fault. And I really think that if Audra can just avoid those 2 issues, she could have the best season of her Jerky Pro Truck Series career. And like you said, top 5 in points maybe at the end of the season. We'll talk about that later as we move over to our next driver, which is the number 22 of Delon Ibrahimian. He drove the 12 truck for Penske last season, jumping over to the 22, as there's a new rookie driver we'll talk about later in that 12 truck. But Ibrahimian got a win at Chicagoland for his first career Jerky Pro win. He was 20th in the points in 2019, 15th in the points this past season. 1 win, 4 top 5s, 5 top 10s. We expect Ibrahimian to do just as good, if not better, in what will be his 3rd full-time season in the Jerky Pro Truck Series. That brings us to our 2020 regular season champion, Henry Sanford, who, here's a shocker, Henry Sanford, in the first 19 races of last season, had 1 win, 5 top 5s, and 11 top 10s, was the regular season champion by a mile. And then in the last 8 races, including the 7-race playoff, he did not finish in the top 10 a single time, and out of all drivers, was 37th in accruing points over that 7-race playoff period. We're not sure what happened to Henry. Hopefully he'll bounce back. He finished the year 12th in points last of playoff drivers. In his rookie season of 2019, where he won 2 races and only ran 13 of the 15 races, he made the playoffs that year and finished 6th in the points. Despite missing those 2 races because, playoff format, he won those 2 races in the regular season. So we expect Henry to have another great season, but hopefully he can fine-tune the inconsistencies that he faced, or difficulties that he faced in the playoffs last year, because we really think Henry could be a championship-winning driver. We just have to wait and see how 2021 goes. That brings us to, I believe, the second best driver in terms of last year's rookie class, which was Carter Friesen, making the jump from the number 02 Young's Motorsport Chevy to the number 51 KBM Toyota. Friesen also ran full-time in the Digital Storm Cup Series for Junior Motorsport, and he has made the decision to run full-time in trucks instead of Cup. Friesen won 3 races with 4 top 5s and 7 top 10s, but finished 11th in the points, and just like Henry Sanford, Friesen did not get a single top 10 finish in the playoffs. So, I mean, Vince, between these two drivers who have won multiple races in their careers, I mean, they both have 3 career total, but Friesen had 3 last year, Henry Sanford 1. I mean, who's going to do better here? Does Friesen get like a sophomore slump going on, or does Henry Sanford bounce back more, or bounce back less in what'll be his 3rd season?
Yeah, we forgot the 22. We'll talk about him in a second. But I think Sanford edges Friesen by a little bit. I think these two guys Henry, these guys are going to be crazy in the beginning with the experience, and I think this is going to be a top 10 showdown. I don't know who will edge out who in the beginning, but I think just because of the way the schedule works, Sanford seems to have more of that chemistry. I know Toyota is going to be firing on all cylinders, especially KBM. Those guys are no nonsense over there. But I just think because of Sanford, the way he's been driving, and I think he'll eke out some of those inconsistencies and he'll beat Friesen. The 22 Ibrahimian, he's interesting. I'm just to touch on him real quick. One at that finale track now, Chicago. That was huge, and that is the finale this year. We'll talk about that in a second. But I expect big things with Dion. He's going to be a veteran in terms of who he's got with Young, and a couple other nuances with Penske and Ford. I don't know. This is going to be an interesting one, but I think Ibrahimian could be one of those guys with sneaky top 10, if not a championship contender we don't see in the weeds.
Yes, indeed. I think out of all 3 of those guys, are going to do wonders. It would be shocking to see none of them win a race. That brings us to our next driver, RJ Bishop, who is entering what will be his 4th year of Jerky Pro Truck Series experience. He's another guy like Colt Hudson who will be running full-time in trucks as he makes his rookie campaign in Digital Storm. And Bishop is an interesting driver to look at history-wise. 2018 season, he had 1 top 5, 2 top 10s, but he was last in the point standings out of 40 drivers. 2019, he gets 2 top 10s and a pole, and he finishes 23rd in the standings. His average finishing position from 2018 to 2019 jumped 8 full positions from 28th to 20th. And now this past season, RJ had the same average finishing position of 20th. However, RJ made the playoffs without a win, 3 top 5s, 6 top 10s, no poles, but 9th in the point standings. I mean, 40th to 23rd to 9th in points. Vince, RJ Bishop, I think he's kind of an underdog to get top 5 in points, but I think this could be his year to win a race.
Yeah, he's on the old ascend, as I like to say. He's on the ascend. It's like that plane when you take off, you're starting to get up there and climb, and he's going to be one of our high climbers of the year. I don't know if he'll get top 5, but he could have one of those Audra seasons, right? It might be a mistake here or there, but maybe 2 or 3 wins even. But we'll see. Like I said, RJ's got supporting new colors, Rowdy Energy, new brand, new sponsor, on Ford. Let's see what he does. He's going to be one of those guys in the mix for top 10, though. And another thing, too, about RJ Bishop that you like to see is with the second half of the season, as I've been saying with most of these guys, with the experienced guys, new team, he'll start picking it up. And the way the schedule looks, I'm sure he'll find a way to sneak into those top 5s and 10s in just regular races.
And just to mention it real quick, RJ Bishop has been with ThorSport his entire career. That chemistry, I think, is going to come in clutch in yet another season as they continue that ascension, as you said. But we'll jump from one energy drink sponsored driver to another, and that's Donovan Cage, who is entering his 3rd season with Norm Benning Racing. Donovan Cage kind of came as a shock. In the first 14 races of the 2019 season, which was his rookie campaign, Cage had just 3 top 5s and 4 top 10s, but then he won the finale at Texas, which was his first win of his career. Right at the end of the rookie season, finished 15th in the points. This past year, Donovan Cage won 4 races, 6 top 5s, 7 top 10s, 2 poles, so kind of inconsistent. So outside of those 4 wins, Donovan Cage finishing inside the top 5 just twice, top 10 thrice. 8th in the points in the playoffs. I mean, all those wins got him attention. Monster Energy has jumped on board. And, you know, out of all of those wins, 4 of them are from intermediate tracks. And, you know, he's all-time wins leader with 5 wins in the Jerky Pro Truck Series. Audra is second to him with 4. We didn't really talk about the all-time wins list really at all. So Donovan Cage with 5, Audra with 4, and then you've got Henry Sanford and Carter Friesen with 3. Those are the most winningest drivers as far as our full-time guys go entering the year. Charles Sanford has 3 wins as well, but he will be on a part-time basis as mentioned. But so how about this, you know, for Donovan Cage, look at this 6 truck. It's the same scheme as last year. It looks a little brighter on the yellow, but it's got sponsors on it. Vince, Monster Energy, Lowe's. You got Progressive Insurance there on the back end. Like, this man's got sponsorship for Norm Benning Racing. How about that?
Donovan Cage's like a journeyman. He was out there networking and getting the sponsors and winning races. One of his most famous wins, I think, last season had to be Indianapolis still in that Wreck Fest. But I'm not going to say anything about Donovan Cage. See predictions below. That's all I'll say. So we'll get to him in a minute, at least on my end.
All right, so Cage will be entering his 3rd full-time season. Another driver entering his 3rd full-time season that is, I can't believe I'm saying this, another energy drink related sponsored driver, and that's Sam Young. So now the interesting thing about Sam Young is he ran full-time in 2018, finishing 15th in the points with 2 top 5s, 4 top 10s. But then in 2019, he split time with Dylan Young, who I forget if the relationship is brother or father. And he ran 8 races in 2019 with a top 5 and 3 top 10s. Sam Young shockingly did not win a race in 2020, though he came close many times. 4 top 5s, 9 top 10s, a pole, an average finishing position of 17th, 6th in the point standings. Missing out on the Final 4. Sam Young overall, if you looked at it from a full season perspective, was 2nd in the points, if my memory is correct. I don't have it up. So, but Sam Young, Team Penske, back at it again with him. He'll also be running full-time in the Digital Storm Cup Series, like RJ Bishop and Colt Hudson are. Sam Young, man, I really think this could be his year to get into victory lane. You know, just like with Zach Rogers, you know, they're running full time, and you know, I think Sam could find some success. This 29 truck has been very strong at Atlanta Motor Speedway in the past, which we go to near the end of the 2021 season. Dylan Young has won there twice in a Jerky Pro truck. So, Vince, your thoughts on Sam Young?
This man right here, I'm going to say once again, see predictions below on that. But as far as just his consistency, without a playoff format, he was one of the most consistent guys. Now, or excuse me, with the playoff format, now without a playoff format, I expect him to continue that. He's going to be developing Ibrahimian and a soon-to-be rookie. We'll talk about on the show. I like where we're headed. Penske's on the way up. Sam Young, I think he'll be a threat, not just for top 10, but like I said, one of those exclusive championship contenders.
And that leaves us with only 2 drivers returning from 2020 to talk about, and those are 2 of our Final 4 drivers. We'll just mention it very briefly. Keith Rich, running full-time Digital Storm Cup, not coming back to Jerky Pro per the rules. And Andrew Rich was just running a rookie season of trucks after he was out of Digital Storm Cup in 2019, and he finished 2nd in the points. So that leaves us with our 3rd and 4th place Final 4 drivers, and we're going to start with the number 18 of Joe Gibbs Racing, driven by Yael Carrillo. We hopefully will pronounce this man's name correctly the entire season this time, as that was a thing at the beginning of 2020. But Carrillo in his rookie season, 2 wins, 4 top 5s, 9 top 10s, and a pole, with an average finishing position of 19th on the season. Carrillo had probably the best rookie season, not counting Andrew Rich, who finished ahead of him in the Final Four. Of course, Rich with, Cup Series experience going down. But Carrillo, in the, a 3-truck stable now for Joe Gibbs, as both the 19 and the 20 trucks did not perform well enough. That's why we have some newer teams jumping down, like Stuart Haas, Roush Fenway. Me and Vince have talked about this, the way Jerky Pro cycles teams in and out depending on success. So Joe Gibbs down to 3 trucks as Furniture Row got absorbed into them. But Carrillo and Carrillo is the most experienced driver on the team next to teammate Bradley Ream, who was a rookie with him last year, as the 78 is driven by a rookie driver who we'll get to later. But quick thoughts on Yael Carrillo, not including predictions, Vince?
Not including predictions. We'll see predictions go in a second. Famous slogan, ebbs and flows, coming back, as we talked about with the cycle. It's an ebb and flow. I like this guy, man. Something about Yael Carrillo and the way he works the draft and plate races, the way he understands the tire management at speedways, and his short track and dirt presence is only going to get better. I've got nothing but great things to say about him. He's got Ream now, almost like they stole him away in a way, and now they have some experience back. I don't know. I think he's going to be up for a breakout season, more than just his Final Four appearance last year, with consistency on the line. Watch out for Yael. He's definitely a top 5 contender. That's in my eyes, though. I know we'll have something to say about that in a couple minutes.
Yael will not be running in the Digital Storm Cup Series, as he'll continue to focus on Jerky Pro Truck Series development. And that leaves us with just one driver, James Ellison, driving for Junior Motorsports. He got the deal to drive this 48 truck after a stellar 2019 season, where Ellison finished 12th in the points with 3 top 5s, 5 top 10s, and an average finishing position of 16th. Ellison missed the playoffs. However, if you took the playoffs away in 2019, Ellison would have been 5th in the point standings without a win in 15 races. Ellison's rookie season in 2018, he was 22nd in the points with a top 5 and 3 top 10s. But he really broke out with Junior Motorsports, man, in 2020. 2 wins at Bristol Dirt and Atlanta. He had that stretch of finishes where it was second, first. Finally got that win there after those 3 straight second-place finishes. 7 top 5s, 10 top 10s on top of those 2 wins. The only other returning driver who had double-digit top 10s next to Henry Sanford. And 2 pole positions for Ellison. Average finish of 19th, average starting position of 21st. And Ellison will be running full-time for Junior Motorsports in the number 88 Chevy in the Digital Storm Cup Series in what will likely be his final Jerky Pro Truck Series season. He's looking for that championship after the pit road violation at Texas last year cost him a shot at the title. Vince, your thoughts on Ellison before we delve into the rookie class?
Boom or bust. Simple as that. It's either he's going to keep his composure all season and get the championship, or he's going to bust. I just think with him moving up to the Cup Series as a rookie, we'll talk about that in tomorrow's show, he's going to have to handle a lot of things. And now with the Cup Series package being completely different than the Truck Series package, can he keep his composure all season? We know he's a fan favorite, though. We got to say that. We can't ignore the fact that he is a fan favorite in the series. He's been around. But the question is, can he keep his composure, not lose it often on the track to get to his elusive championship, and use that Texas pit road mistake as motivation? We'll find out.
All right, it's time to look at our rookie drivers for the 2021 NRSL Jerky Pro Truck Series. And we're starting from the lowest number up to the highest number. Stephen Colon will drive the number 2 for GMS Racing. This truck was split last year by Sack Rogers and Ace Rogers. And Bobo Jones won a race in this truck back in, I believe, 2019. We'll see what Cologne can do in his rookie season. Driving the number 4 for Stort-Haas Racing, a new entry in the field this year, is Brad Lewis, close friend of Zachary Fitzwater Sr. And Lewis is expected to bring the success that we saw from the Cup team last year down to the Jerky Pro Truck Series. We'll get to his teammate in a moment. Filling in Carter Friesen's 3-win season is Christian Vargas, another rookie driver. He'll be driving down here for the number 02 of Young's Motorsports. Driving the number 10 for Stort-Haas Racing. I actually forgot that Stort-Haas has 3 trucks and not 2 in Jerky Pro. Will be Will Parrish. He's also running in the Digital Storm Cup Series, which we'll get to tomorrow when we mention his name. But will drive the number 10 Smithfield Ford for Stort-Haas Racing. We mentioned the number 12 vaguely before, and this is who's driving it. Sponsored by Verizon will be the number 12 Team Penske Ford, driven by Vince Freeze. That's right, the booth man himself will be driving in the Jerky Pro Truck Series, and the dynamic of both commentators driving, will surely be interesting. Vince,
no doubt.
Vince, quick word on Vince Freeze?
He's a really, really cold, nice guy. That's all I got.
All right. Next up is Mitchell Collins driving the last Stort-Haas Racing truck and another completely new driver to the series. We'll see what he can do in the Mobile One Ford in 2021. Evans Gardner Motorsports expanding for the 2021 Jerky Pro Truck Series. This will be the first time they field 2 trucks. Colton Schwartz will run a full-time campaign in this Great Clips number 16. Another rookie for GMS Racing will be Daniel Bouchard. He drives the truck left vacant by Andrew Rich. We saw Rich win 3 races in this truck, including Daytona in 2020. Driving the 24 for the new Junior Motorsports truck is Nicholas Jawit. This was a GMS truck last season, which was driven by Audra Baranowskas, but now it's Junior Motorsports, sponsorship from Axalta. We'll see how Jawit can perform in his rookie campaign. Fill in the seat of another rookie is another rookie, Owen Miles, going to drive the 25 for GMS Racing. We saw Dylan Thomas come close to a win at Island Rally in this truck last year. New team in both Digital Storm Cup and Jerky Pro Truck is Go Fast Racing. They're back after separating from Evan Gardner Motorsport. And Derek Hamill will be driving the 32 in both series. And we expect him to do maybe something by running in both series in 2021. That brings us to our next rookie driver, Roy Ribbleton, taking over the 45, which was driven by Michael Markle in 2020. Markle was actually the second best driver in the playoffs, accruing points just behind, or the most points just behind LJ Toledo. Now sponsored by iRacing, we'll see how Ribbleton can do in his rookie season. JTG Daughtery Racing expanding in the truck series. Colt Hudson's gone from the 37, which we mentioned was filled by Patrick Smith. But the 47 is going to be making an entry into the Jerky Pro Truck Series. It'll be driven by Logan Williams. Taking over the 52 truck that saw some pretty good success by second-year driver LJ Toledo last year is Josiah Robinson. We'll see if he can bring the 52 to victory lane in 2021. The third Bulldog Motorsports truck to be mentioned is the number 66, driven by newcomer Enzo Nareza. In NRSL universe, Nareza runs in Charles Sanford's Hooters series. We'll see how he does here in the Jerky Pro Truck Series. He's sponsored by Digital Storm. Mentioned the 78 vaguely before. It's going to be driven by Joshua Teppensaw, who's making his rookie campaign in a truck that was driven by Benjamin Ice last season. Filling the seat of a veteran is Laura Chung. She'll also be driving the 83 in the Digital Storm Cup Series. She replaces Edwin Mendez, who won a race in 2020 for Cop Motorsports. Zachary DeLello is replacing another rookie winning driver who was Jeremiah Dwayne in the 92 truck last season. And we'll see how Zachary DeLello performs compared to the rookie who drove this truck last year. And that leaves us with just one rookie, though, like Andrew Rich, you could kind of say she's not a rookie, and that's Andrew Rich's girlfriend, Deanna Jones, will drive the number 99 Target Ram for Bulldog Motorsports. Deanna Jones has won 5 career Digital Storm Cup Series races, but she has not driven in either series. Or, well, she never drove in Jerky Pro to begin with, but she has not driven a Cup car since 2018. We'll see how she can take off that rust. That brings us to the drivers not returning. Not returning includes the following rookies from 2020: Matthew Logan, Hillary Sanchez, Cody Rhodes, Cole Baker, who won 2 or 3 races, I already forgot. Jeff Toledo, Elijah Gordon, Priya McShane, Greg Torres, Andrew Rich, Dylan Thomas, Toby McCoy, Michael Markle, Casey Nanico, Leland Fief, Jeremiah Dwayne, and Logan Gentry. Veterans not returning include Keith Rich, a 4-year experience in the 2020 Jerky Pro Truck Series champ. Logan York, the 2019 champ with 2 years of experience. Jesse Turner with 3 years of experience. LJ Toledo with 2. Peter Onjak with 2. Edwin Mendez with 3. And Adam Flickinger with 2 wins. All right, real quick before we get to predictions, as Vince mentioned, Logan York is returning on a part-time basis, but not a full-time basis, so that's why he was mentioned. Vince, it's time for predictions. Oh, man, I think this is probably the part of the video where people might actually want to hear what we have to say.
Either that or call us out at the end of the season. Well, you're wrong. No, anyway, let's get to it.
All right, so the first question posed to us by our lovely staff is veteran or rookie win majority. My prediction is that veterans will win 15 of the 21 race season. Vince, what do you think?
I had a little less. I had 13. I just think with the plate races, Pukica, a couple dirt events, it might swing in the favor of the rookies a little bit, but I still think the vets will hold the majority.
All right. Second question is veteran or rookie champion. Not asking us who's going to be the champion. That's a later question. Just is it going to be a veteran or a rookie? And I think with the spread I'm looking at, I'm thinking veteran champion.
Across the board, vet champion. Not much really to add there. It's going to be like you said, the spread. I just think the veterans will find a way.
All right. Next question. There's no playoff this year, but who will be the top 5 in points in no particular order? So basically, they're just asking us, who do we think is going to be top 5 in points? It's not asking us who we think the champion is going to be. But so to me, I think the top 5 will be the following. I'm thinking it's going to be Audra Baranowskas, Zach Rogers, no bias there, I swear. James Ellison, Donovan Cage, and Sam Young. Now, who I think will be champion, we'll get to that in a second. But Vince, who do you think is going to be top 5?
Little upsets here. I got Audra, not an upset. Yael Carrillo. I mentioned him highly. I got some expectations that he'll make a move. We're the same on Sam Young and Donovan Cage. This one's an upset. Henry Sanford turns it around, sneaks into top 5.
All right, so the next question is, goes hand in hand with top 5 is who's going to be the champion? And I think Audra's going to get those inconsistencies sorted out, and she's going to be the 2021 Jerky Pro Truck Series champion. Vince, what do you think?
Don Cage. I just think Donovan Cage, not only does he have the sponsors, but he's a journeyman. People can relate to him. I think he'd be a really popular champion. And we know Donovan Cage on speedways. Watch out.
Well, next question is sophomore slump. That's a question for which of our rookie drivers who did well last year will do poorly this year. And he's in your top 5, Vince. I hate to say it, but I think Yael Carrillo is going to have a slump in 2021. I think he won 2 races. I think he'll still get to victory lane. But I don't see him getting top 10 in the points. And I think that would be a slump for him.
Yeah, you make a very good point, right? He would have to back up a top or a Final Four run. But I went with Max Anderson. I think that Ford switch going to take some time. It's not really ideal in the beginning. The way the schedule is working out too. which we'll get to in a second. I just think Max Anderson needs a little bit of time to develop, but I have him as a slump, believe it or not.
All right, and the final question for Jerky Pro predictions is who's going to be the Rookie of the Year? And, well, I'll tell you what, unlike the Digital Storm Cup Series, which is, has drivers who have developed a little bit in Jerky Pro is the first step, between the two series. So, I mean, it's really anyone's guess, but I guess the Cup Series experience. I know I thought of something else earlier before we got to this, but I'm going to change my prediction here. I think the Cup experience is going to give Deanna Jones as Rookie of the Year. I had somebody else listed before, but I had completely forgotten that Deanna was down here in the Truck Series. So I think Deanna Jones might be a little rusty at the start of the season, but 2 full-time seasons of Cup experience and 5 wins is going to mean something down here in Jerky Pro. So I think she'll be our Rookie of the Year. Vince, what do you got for me on this last prediction?
I mean, I said as a joke, Vince Freeze. I don't know that guy. He might have something special. You know what I'm saying? But no, listen. I'll put Vince Freeze down as my Rookie of the Year. But if I had to make a unbiased, real prediction, I'm going to go with Nicholas Jawit. He has a lot of experience with that junior camp and that Hendry camp in a way. He's got a lot of teammates to rely on. Watch him to be a surprise. I think Jawit gets it done if Vince Freeze can't get it. But like you said, I think it's anyone's game. It's a stacked 19 truck rookie class. A lot of people other than Deanna Jones is just fresh off the gate. Should be a fun 2021 season. Before we end it, let's get to some technical and fundamental changes.
You talk about technical and fundamental changes. Wow, we usually don't talk about these on the preview show, but it has been an off-season a change. So I'll just try and summarize it really quickly for you all. We're going from a 27-race schedule, which had a 7-race playoff, to a 21-race schedule with no playoffs. So it's going to be just like it was in 2018, where we had a 14-race season with no playoffs, decide the champion. This time it'll be a 21-race season, and this is the plan moving forward for the Truck Series to not have a playoff. We've got a new format for Digital Storm Cup that we'll talk about tomorrow in that preview show. But it's looking like the series, both series, might be pushing away from a playoff system, and that's kind of more of a big thing for Cup than it is for Trucks, since Trucks, like I said, had the playoff-less 2018 season. So 21 races, and we're going back to a bit of a trend that the 2018 schedule had as well, which was a majority of short tracks or just a lack of super speedway and big tracks. So we've got a handful of the tracks returning. No Armory Digital, no Pensacola, surprisingly, to say the least. But Jerky Pro will return to Rockingham, which they haven't been to in a minute. Richmond. The paved version of Bristol, which I don't think we've seen since 2017. Michigan will be making a return. Oswego, which we haven't gone to since 2018. The Bristol Dirt Track we went to in 2019. And I believe that's it. As mentioned, Vince mentioned this earlier, the finale track is no longer Texas. We'll go to Texas for the 4th race of the season. But the new finale track is Chicagoland, where the 22 of Dylan Ibrahimian won in, I believe it was the 2nd race of the playoffs last season. Anything to add, Vince?
It's going to be interesting. The races are going, we'll talk about that when we get to Daytona. But the races are going to be interesting with strategy. There's a little bit of new technicality with that. We'll save that for the actual racing. And another thing too interesting, I think, is there's really no consistency in the schedule as, we have to plan for those 5 super speedways. Let's save our stuff. It's really it's a mixture of, do you really want to bring a better chassis, or do you save it for those some speedway races like a Daytona, an Auto Club, a Texas, a Chicagoland, Papyrus, where the engine might matter more. That'll be an interesting dynamic throughout the season. That's all I got. 21 races. It's a sprint. Here we go.
And I think just to state it right at the end is 3 dirt tracks on the schedule in those 21 races. And It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy. So that'll do it for us for the preview show here in 2021 for the Jerky Pro Truck Series, and we'll see you all tomorrow for the Digital Storm Cup Series preview show, which will likely be 10 to 20 minutes longer. But yeah, so that's all I got. Vince, say our goodbye message for me.
Vince Freeze and Zach Rogers, and we are signing off.